Welcome back, you guys. I'm Connor O'Reilly, playing for Team Latitude 64 on OTB Discs. And at the end of the 2022 season, this is what's in my bag. We're going to start with my putting putters and then work our way up in speed from there. I've been putting with my Tour Series face for about the second half of the season. I really like the extra overstability these Tour Series ones have been providing. They come out of the hand nice and clean, good overstable finish. I've also got 3 more faiths in the bag for throwing purposes. This one's the most understable, pretty beat up. It'll have a little drift to the right. This Delaware commemorative is nice and straight for me. And then I've got a fresh Tour Series for the slightly overstable putt and approach duties. Hetchy loves frisbees, but you gotta make sure he's got his own. Next, we'll go on to the approach discs. I'll start with the Saki Bomb Slammer. This thing is super overstable and really slow. Goes almost nowhere, but that's great when you want to approach the basket and put it close. And I've got 2 harps in the bag. This one's a sweet die, little zipper, kind of Looney Tunes on the back. This one's slightly straighter. Then I've got this Glow Ricky harp. These are nice and overstable, really workable. You can flex them, hit them nice and hard and flat. Now I've got my Lucid X Justice. This thing is super dependable when the wind picks up. Always gonna fade for you. You can throw high flex shots with it. Really can put a lot of torque into this disc knowing it's always gonna fade. Very forgiving. On to my mid-ranges. Starting with the most understable, we've got the Opto Fuse. The Fuse is a great disc for beginners or for pros. For me, I can throw it hard on hyzer knowing late in the flight it'll drift to the right, or I can rip it up in the air flat and just let it work to the right for the entire flight. Great understable mid-range option. Then a bump up from that, I've got my Trust. This one's the first run Trust. I find this one to be nice and straight. I can hit it hard and flat and it'll drift slowly to the right. On hyzer, it'll want to pop up to straight and penetrate really far flying mid-range. Great for learning and great for power players as well as beginners. Then we've got 1 compass in the bag right now. There's times where I've carried up to 3 compasses, depending on the wear and tear I've got in them. I kind of found it's easier just to have that beat-in Trust instead of working in a compass so long, because these are nice and overstable. The compass is torque resistant, always has a little bit of finish, but isn't super dumpy to where you can't throw it very far. Then I've got the Anchor as a bump up from the compass for when the wind's up, when I want to really rip it hard and flat knowing it's going to finish left. Not have to worry about my angle too much, or hit it hard on hyzer knowing it's never really going to pop up. Always going to have that hyzer finish. All right, that's it for the blunt edge discs. Time to go for the nice sharp ones, starting with the Fairway Drivers. I've got 4 Explorers in my bag. The Explorer is one of my favorite Fairway Drivers I've ever thrown. This one is one of the old Gold Line Burst. This one's super understable. I can really hammer it on hyzer and get it to work to the right, even in narrow little gaps. It's a great disc. This guy, a lot of you might know, this Opto Explorer right here with the little yin yang die. I've really done a lot of work with this over the last 2 years on tour. It's gotten pretty straight on me now where I can almost only use it in the woods, but this thing has a lot of distance potential. And I can really hit it on hyzer knowing it's going to pop up and penetrate very straight, or I can throw it for those long drifting shots, rollers, all kind of stuff. The Explorer is super versatile. Then I've got 2 of these Gold X Emerson Keith Explorers. These ones are a bump up in stability, nice and trustworthy. You can hit them hard and flat, even in a little bit of wind, and they go super straight. Put enough hyzer on them, they're always going to finish. This one's a little more beaten than this guy, and this guy's been one of my workhorses all year. Really been depending on this disc for shots up to around 400, maybe a little more.
Leave it. Good boy.
Next, in the Fairway Drivers, I've got also 4 Pioneers in my bag. Starting with the most understable is this beat-in Opto guy. Super straight, borderline understable at this point. This thing is really good for forehands in the woods, as well as even straight backhand shots where I want to throw something a little more torque resistant than those Gold X Explorers. Then I've got this, another Opto Explorer. It's got a super sweet die on it. Kind of got the owl guy here on a tree. I love me a good die, and this one's been in and out of my bag the last 2 years, but I needed a kind of fresh opto guy to be a little more resistant to turn than that blue one, and this one's slipped into my bag for that slot. This Gold Burst Pioneer has been in my bag pretty much for 2.5, almost 3 years now, so if you've seen me play disc golf, you've probably seen me throw this disc. Definitely one of my most used discs for hyzer shots or even kind of straighter shots in the high wind from up to like 330 to 400 feet. Pioneer is a great overstable, dependable fairway driver. And my most overstable is going to be this glow guy with a sweet moon die. Shout out to my guy Dustin Manislavich from doing this for me. He did a couple sweet dies for me, and this one is one of my favorites. These glow guys are a little more overstable than the other runs of Pioneers, so great for those shots in the 330 to 300 foot range. Last but not least for my fairway drivers is going to be the Hatchet. I found this yellow one a couple years ago, actually right before I signed with Latitude, or right as I was in the process of finalizing that deal. And it's super understable, really a utility disc for me. I can throw it on rollers. I can almost hyzer release it for rollers up to about 450 or so. It won't really go past that since it's so understable. And then this opto one's a little newer. My girlfriend and I kind of got into doing some shaving cream dyes in the off season, so I dyed this one. I love those dyes that have the choppy flight on them when you throw them, so I tried to make this guy do that, and it's really fun to watch this thing fly, or mainly using these for rollers, so watch it roll out of there on the ground. And the opto is slightly more overstable than the tournament plastic. That's it for the fairway drivers. Now we're on to the big boys, the distance drivers. The Orbit Rive, as you can tell, has become my go-to distance driver. I did have a fifth kind of peach color guy in here, but just lost that at Eagles Crossing last week, so RIP to that one. It was nice and understable. I really liked it for forehand flip-ups or big turnovers, but you know, it is how it goes. You lose this and you gotta cycle in new ones, but I've had this one in since about March. Tristan gave me this out of the first batch that he got, so this one's been one of my main flyers for a while. It's gotten to the point where it's definitely getting pretty straight on me, to where I won't really throw it in the wind, but if I need that hyzer flip to straight or just bomb out a distance shot, this guy is really good for that. Also good for forehands with that extra bit of stretch it's got. And I just put this in the bag like last week. These guys with a little more orbit on them I found are a little straighter, so it kind of mirrors that red one, but I don't have as much attachment to it, so I can throw it on those water shots where I don't want to worry about losing the red guy. I'll kind of throw this in there instead. Right here we got another one of my guy Dustin's dies. This is, I think, my favorite disc, my Snorlax Teal Rive. The die works perfectly for the color scheme of the disc, and watching big fella fly super far is always nice. This has been one of my go-tos. Once again, kind of have attachment to this one, so I won't really throw it over the water and stuff like that, but any course where I don't have to worry about losing it, I'm going to be throwing this on most of my distance shots that I want to keep some control on. So still got some good stretch on it, but got the overstable finish because it's not too old in the bag. Then this is the freshest version of the Rive that I've got. Another one of my guy Tristan's stamps. This one's a little more overstable than the Snorlax guy, but pretty similar in terms of where it's flying. So I'll kind of throw this when I don't want to worry about losing the other one, or if the wind picks up a little bit. That's it for my Rives. Now on to the Stiletto. The Stiletto, nice and overstable, utility distance driver. You can also kind of get some good distance on it and controllability in the high winds. This white one's been in my bag for a long time. Shout out to my guy Jonathan Berger for dyeing this for me with the leg lamp on it. I thought that'd be a clever, funny dye to do. So this opto guy has been in my bag for a long time. It's pretty straight at this point for a Stiletto. I like it for forehands up to like 330, maybe 350 if the wind picks up, and then I can really rip it nice and straight into a headwind, and it'll go about 400 feet, maybe a little more. For those times when the Rive is just not quite gonna hold up, I'll bust out the Stiletto. And here I got one of my fresh mini stamp CO guys in the chameleon plastic. This one's pretty brand new to my bag, so this one's really overstable. If I release this thing on hyzer, it's never thinking about turning. Really pretty dumpy disc, and great disc to have in the wind or if we're throwing skip shots around the corner. You never know when you're going to need something really overstable that you never have to worry about turning, and the Stiletto is a great option for that. Last but not least in the bag is going to be the Ballista Pro. I have both of these in kind of the special, more overstable versions of the Ballista Pro. Ballista Pro and Optoplastic and Gold Burst is one of the longest discs on the market, super bomber. But these Opto X ones really beef it up and still add a lot of distance. I found this newest run of the Albert Tom from this year. The clear ones I've really been digging on, but I found this run to be nice and overstable, but still really long distance. So I'm busting this out when the Rive isn't quite enough disc, but I still need a glidey distance shot in the wind. Up to about 450, these things are flying really good. I really have enjoying this disc. And I love clear plastic, so this thing is just beautiful. Then the most overstable final disc in the bag is going to be the Opto X Ballista Pro from last year. These are in the glimmer plastic as well, and these have a crazy like volcano dome in the middle there. Super pop toppy, and these guys are like slick plastic that just skips really nice off the ground, and you throw this thing on hyzer, it is dumping and you're not getting more than 350 out of it, even if you're a bomber. So really good disc to have when the wind picks up and for when I want to take a huge flare skip, pop up in the air. That's it for the discs in my bag that I like to throw. My discs kind of change here and there depending on the course, whether there's a number of water carries at whatever ranges. I'll kind of put some backups in or filter things in and out depending on whether it's a wooded course, whether it's an open course. But for the most part, this is going to be my bag setup throughout the year. That's it for all the discs that are in my bag. If you guys want to check out the second part of this video to see all the little knickknacks that I got to be out on the course with to feel comfortable and to feel like I'm ready to attack, then make sure you check out part 2 of this video coming soon. Once again, thanks for joining, you guys. I'm Connor O'Reilly, playing for Team Latitude 64 and OTB Discs, and this has been an end of the season 2022 in the bag.